Good Saturday afternoon. How you doing? I just did some rearranging here on my bench. Off video, I made a little shelf here so I can move some of my equipment and the VTVM and so forth closer to me so I can see them. I'm in the process of doing several things at once here. I went to a yard sale today, the indoor flea market, and I picked up this e-machine for $5, Windows 7 64-bit. Of course, there is no boot sector in the hard drive, and of course, naturally, it's like everything else, it's a lousy Seagate. Seagates are junk. Every time I have a bad hard drive, it's always a Seagate. So, I got this lousy monitor, which is so dark you can just barely see it, but I keep it in the big shed so that I can test things. Example, right here. It's a nice, clean little computer with other than a few scratches on the front part here. It has a CD drive, and the hard drive, I just took it off of here. It has the SATA cable, and it says no boot sector found. So I took this hard drive and plugged it into my Windows 7 computer by way of the power supply and the data cable, that little kit I showed you before that you plug into the USB, and it doesn't show up. But when I go into disk management, it shows up as unallocated. So I'm not able to format it in disk management, and if I go to computer, it doesn't show up at all. So you don't have that option to format. So I don't know if this was formatted before this computer was dumped off at the flea market, or whether it is corrupted. I have no idea, because usually I can plug in an external hard drive using the adapter, you know, the power supply that you plug into the wall. It powers the hard drive, and it has the output for the SATA cable, and you plug them in. You know, I've done this before and I know how to do it. But if this was formatted, it should show up on the computer, and it doesn't. It does spin out. I can hear it spinning. But I don't see any data transfer or anything like that. There's a little light on the little box there that comes with this. I really should show you, but I think you know what I mean anyways. So, just for the heck of it, I have another hard drive here that came out of an old computer my wife had, 80 gig SATA, but it has Windows XP on it. That's the story of my life, you know. You can get tons of XP, but you can't get 7. I mean, it was only $5, but it would have been neat to have it. It's a 64-bit. I don't know the model number. There is no... If there is a model number on it, it's probably on a small tag somewhere in the back. But it is Windows 7 64-bit, because I did look at it earlier before I made this video. So it seems to be all intact. Of course, it has a little dinky power supply and a real dinky little fan on top of the processor down there. So these kind of computers, I guess, are not really reliable. From what I've been reading, they don't hold up good. The power supply is, I don't know what the rating is. There's a little tag off to the right there. Well, right there. Now, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it says 80, but it doesn't say watts. But it's probably that. I wouldn't be surprised. But everything seems to be nice and clean in here. Everything's plugged in good. I'm going to put the hard drive in, and I'll show you if you can read this screen. It's very, very, very dim, and I can't seem to get it brighter. It's got one of them complicated menus that, you know, you push a button and it brings up a menu, and really it's very hard to use. I bought this a long time ago at a yard sale, and it's the worst monitor I've got. You can just barely see it, but I keep it out here for this very reason, because it's very difficult for me to unplug cables from my main computer and do that, and I don't want to upset anything. So let me get the hard drive on here and I'll show you what it does. Okay, I've got the hard drive plugged in here, and we're going to fire up the computer, and you're going to hear one beep, and that's all you get out of it. Now, there is no keyboard or mouse on here. Usually you get a keyboard error or a mouse error or something. But no, the error I'm reading up here is no boot sector is failed or something. You'll see the message when it comes up. One beep. The eMachine logo. And it says error, no boot file has been detected, or the disk has failed. Okay? Now, I've tried this over and over, and I checked the cables, and I even put in that XP SATA, that 80 gig XP one. This is Windows 7 Home Premium, but I put the XP in from my wife's computer, and it gave a message, start Windows normally. It came up that black screen with all that stuff on it, then it went off. So that may or may not work with this, I don't know, but that came out of an eMachine also, but it was a Windows XP eMachine, but it was not a narrow little machine like this. It was a full-size desktop, which I scrapped already. So because that one worked, the data cable obviously is good and everything's plugged in. I double-checked. I hate this stuff balancing like this, but I have no way of keeping it from falling off. So anyways, we shut that off. I'm going to take this inside, and I'm going to show you on my desktop computer what it does. And maybe somebody can tell me whether this has been formatted or not. All it says is unallocated, but if you go into your computer, you know, on the computer and click, and all the drives, it doesn't show up. It only shows up in disk management as basic disk or something. You'll see that when I show you. But I got something else I want to show you that I got at a yard sale, and I have no idea what they are. And so hang on a minute. We will take this into the house at the end of this video, and I'll show you what this thing does when I hook it to my Windows 7 desktop computer. So stand by a minute, because I got a couple of items down here that I got today. I paid $1 a piece for these. I'm going to do a Doug. And that means no tripod, like I've been doing. I try not to move the camera around. I picked up 2 of these. These are brand new. There's some kind of an electrical thing. Now, I know my basic electrical. I know how to wire. I know how to hook up service panels and stuff like that, and breakers and main breakers. I know how to do all that stuff. But I have no idea what this is, but it's something to do with electrical. And they're both identical. These are plastic boxes. They got the tabs to mount to the wall, but they don't have any knockouts for any wires. As you look here, you'd have to actually drill them, I guess, There's no knockouts anywhere for any of the Romex, for your Romex connectors or anything else that would go on this. Now, I'm going to read what I can here because you're not going to be able to see. It says priority appliance. That's all it says there. And get you a magnifier here. Hang on a minute. Okay, there's nothing much on these plates here. Inside is what I want to show you, so I'm going to open this up. There's 4 Phillips screws here. Alright, I got the camera mounted in a stationary place here. So I'm going to take the top off now. And it's foam rubber here. It's hard foam rubber. It's the kind of material that you'd see underneath the cover of an outside electrical outlet. You're probably familiar with them, with the little covers that snap down to keep the water out of the outlets. Well, that's what this is. In here, hopefully you can see that. This is a plastic cover here. It's 50 amps. The 50 amp relay here. You got your line 1, in other words, one side of the phase, line 2, the other side of the phase, your neutral and your ground as input, and you have the same over here as output, and they're down on these terminals down here. I have no idea what this is used for. Now I have a breaker for my generator and a lockout switch, but I imagine this could be used for that. It's a 50 amp relay. It's got some electrolytics on the board. You may or may not be able to see them because I should be in focus range, but I'm using the Kodak ZE1, so you may not see all that. But let me get you a magnifier here and maybe you can see a little better, especially this here. I'll hold it steady so you can read it. I'll move it now. Okay, and I'll move it a little more. And you can see down in there, I hope you can, there's some electrolytics. I don't see any transistors, but I do see on the upper right hand corner as you're looking at it, just to the right and between these 2 electrolytics, an IC chip with some kind of a tag on it. Right in here. Now also, there is what appears to be an adjustment of some kind that if you look sideways, I'll turn it this way, you can see a shaft coming down, a plastic shaft. There's a little dial on the top. So it must be an adjustment of some kind. These here are dial markings on the plastic, but there's nothing coming down through there. There's a screw here and a screw here which will remove the plastic. Let me take the plastic off so that you can see inside. I'll be right back. Alright. Now as you can plainly see, there is no knockout, so you got to probably drill them. Here is your neutral and ground. These are where your neutral and ground go, right on this strip here, just like an electrical panel. This is your connections for the input and output, your neutral and your each side of the line. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is your relay. It seems to have what looks like an MOV down here in red. This is your adjustment that I showed you. There is some diodes on the board over here in the corner, which you may not be able to see. And yes, there is some small components on the board. And there's the IC with the paper on it. I can't make that out. No, I can't make that out. There is a some kind of a male jack right here, white, that something plugs into. Electrolytic here and one here, and basically that's it. But that, you can see the size of this wire. This is 50 amps. There's a fuse over here. It appears to be a small amperage fuse. I can't read it though. So I have no idea what this is. It might go to some kind of a piece of equipment that to be connected into house. On the tag it says residential use only. I read somewhere, but I don't remember where I saw it. Maybe it's on here. This is a reinstall barrier right here. That's what it says here. This, in other words, you got to reinstall this after you do your hookups. It's got an LED, top LED relay state. Off is open, green is closed, red is a fault. Use copper conductors only, 50 amp circuit, 6 AWG, American wire gauge is what it stands for, or larger, rated 90C, whatever. Anyways, so this is the wiring for it. So if anybody knows what this is used for, and I have two of them, very interesting, but I couldn't pass it up. Now, why they would put them in a plastic box instead of a metal, which wouldn't be a fire hazard, where plastic would melt if it ever shorts, I don't know. But anyways, that concludes this portion of the video. Stand by, because I'm going to take this hard drive here and I'm bringing it in the house and I'm going to hook it to the computer and show you what it's doing and what it is not doing. Okay, I've got my hard drive plugged in, and as you can see here, or you may not be able to see, I'm going to get you on macro here. This is the SATA, this is the power light, and this is the data, which is not lit, right up here where my thumb is. Okay, now it shows here the little green icon where you safely remove hardware. Okay, but it's not going to show in the computer. Alright, here's my drives. Removable drive J. Nope, nothing there. Movable drive K, I think. I can't see that. Nothing there. Removable drive H. Oh, hit the wrong damn button. Nothing there. Okay, so it does not show up. As you can see, this is my main drive up here, and this is my second hard drive that I put in. But this isn't showing, but I'll show you where it is showing. Right click on my computer, manage. Disk manager. Oh, that's not what came up before. I thought that was Disk management, I just can't see. All right, here's what we got. The second hard drive is disk D, okay? That's the second hard drive. Now why it's disk D and it's second hard drive, which is what I named it, disk E, I don't know. That says D, this says E, but that's not my question. My question is, here is the drive, right here. Disk number 6. It's a 500 gig hard drive. I think I'm on macro, I hope I am. Anyways, it's a 500 gigabyte hard drive. It's 465.76. Okay. It's unallocated, whatever that means. I mean, I've heard the term, but I don't know what it means. Okay. So, let's say I wanted to format that. There's no option for formatting it. I want to see what's on the disk. There is no option to show what's on the disk. It gives properties. This is where it says the disk is working properly. Does that mean that that disk is good? If it's working properly, I guess it's not bad. And maybe it's just been cleaned off. I have no idea what policies. What the heck does that say? Policies, yeah, I have no idea what that means. That doesn't make any sense. Volumes, none of this means anything to me, except it gives the space an unallocated space, whatever that means, I don't know. Here, drivers, I don't know about that in details. Okay, disk drive. Nothing. I have no idea. So I don't know what that is, but but I do know that this drive right here. Now it's spinning, I can hear it, but there's no data transfer because the light is not on. The power light's on and the SATA cable light is on. I guess that tells you that the SATA cable's connected, because if you take that off, that light will go out. And this goes into the USB here. So, I have formatted hard drives with this before, but if I wanted to format this, there's no option for that. But there is no boot sector according to the video I just showed you. So maybe somebody who's a wizard cleaned it out and got rid of the boot sector before they dumped it, rather than to pull the hard drive. That's my guess. Okay, so that's disk 6. Disk 5 has no media, disk 4 has no media, disk 3 and 2 have no media, and disk 1, system reserved, and this is the main hard drive, I guess. And disk 0. Now, why would that be called 0? I don't know. But anyways, I do know this is the hard drive I put in this computer internally. That's my second hard drive. This is the main drive that the computer guy put in, that I had on hand, and he put it in. So I do know what these are, and obviously disk number 6, which says unallocated, and it gives you the total size, is the one I got plugged into my USB adapter right now. So maybe somebody can tell me, is this hard drive good? How am I supposed to know? Because I can't read it on my computer other than it saying unallocated. I can't format it. There is no option to format it. So it would be nice if I could use this in that computer. Now, I don't own a Windows 7 system disk. I had one, and I couldn't read the key code on it because it was handwritten, and it's useless to me, and I no longer have it. I sent it to a friend of mine who never sent it back to me. So, anyways, that's it. That's the end of this video. Hope I didn't bore you too much. Thanks for watching.